Good morning, classmate, and good morning to our beloved teacher, Doctora Hanelisa Poblete. My name is Mariano M. Today, I will discuss about the brief history of information and communication technology in the Philippines. The first one, the history of mail. Before the merging of postal service, the datos or nobles had messenger which they called Umalohokan, who was tasked to announce a newly enacted law to the barangay or smallest government unit in the Philippines. On 1767, the first post office in the Philippines was established in Manila. On 1779, the postal districts encompasses Manila and the entire archipelago in the Philippines. On 1783, the postal service was organized in the Philippines. On 1840, Manila became the center of postal service in Asia. On 1875, Spain joined the Universal Postal Union. Padagueros, postman, or cartero sa Tagalog, they're either walk or use horse to deliver the letter. There was no envelope that time. Letters were just folded and it would take 2 months before the communication could be received by the address. On 1854, Governor General Antonio de Orbes Tondo issued circular for mail to use stamp. On the same year, there was already a mail service between Manila and Hong Kong. During Filipino-American War, President Emilio Aguinaldo ordered the establishment of a postal service to provide postal service to Filipinos. On September 15, 1902, Act Number 462 was enacted creating the Bureau of Posts. On April 4, 1919, inauguration of the first aerial mail service in the archipelago. To recognize the extraordinary event, a special card were postally canceled by the Bureau of Posts. On 1926, the Manila Central Post Office building became the headquarters of the Bureau of Posts. On 1926, postal authorities commemorated the arrival in Manila from Madrid. All values of 1917 to 1927 regular issued were printed with the words Ermel Madrid, Manila, 1926. Yan po yung example po na makikita nyo po sa larawan. On June 30, 1941, the first regular airmail stamp issues were released. On 1946, Manila Central Post Office was rebuilt after being destroyed using the Second World War. On 1987, the Bureau was renamed as Postal Service Office or PSO. On 1992, PSO became government-owned and controlled corporation and names Philippine Postal Corporation or commonly known as Philpost. Let's talk about the history of telephone. On 1890, the Manila had a telephone service, although it was on a very limited scale. On 1882, the Manila-Hong Kong Overseas Telegram via Cape Bolinao in Pangasinan was laid. On 1887, the first inter-island submarine cable linked Manila to Visayas area such as Iloilo, Bacolod, and Cebu. On 1905, telephone lines and radio relationship were introduced in Manila. On 1906, the Bureau of Posts converted its telephone circuit to telegraph. On 1914, another telephone system using magnetotype switchboard was established in Iloilo City. On 1924, Negros Telephone Company was put up. On 1919, the first automatic telephone system to become operational in the country was installed in Manila by the Philippine Islands Telephone and Telegraph, or PITTC. On November 28, 1928, a franchise was awarded to P.E.H. Steve Knott, a former major in the U.S. Army, by the Philippine legislature for the establishment of the Philippine Long Distance Telephone Company, or PLDT. On 1926, a new type of transmitter invented by Crispuro Zamora was used in Infanta, now Quezon, and in Cebu. On 1930, the Bureau of Posts established the first teleprinted circuit between Manila and Batangas. On 1933, a radiophone service was inaugurated. On 1935, the use of telephone came as a demanded industry. On 1933, RCA Communication established the first radiophone circuit between Manila and United States in joint operation with the Philippine Long Distance Company, or PLDT. On 1948, Bureau of Telecommunication, or BUTEL, introduced the first domestic radio telephone service. In 1969, the first domestic telex service was introduced. In 1970, the first commercially operated tropospheric scattered system was introduced. In 1967, the Philippines had been recognized as the first Southeast Asian country to establish and operate an Earth station, the Philippines Communication Satellites Corporation, or PhilComSat, in Tanay, Rizal. In 1972, direct telephone service was established with United Kingdom, France, and Singapore. Let's talk about the history of telegraph and telegram. On 1871, the first telegraph line was installed in the Philippines. On 1878, the Spanish government recognized the needs for the communication system that would interconnect the Philippines to the rest of the world. On 1880, the underwater sea cable was complete, landing at Bolinao, Pangasinan, a total of 535 nautical miles from Pangasinan. Another 160 miles overland cable was laid down all the way to Manila. On 1898, Emilio Aguinaldo issued a decree officially opened the telegraph service and postal service. On 1902, the telegraph service was handled by a telegraph division under constabulary. On 1906, it was transferred to the Bureau of Posts. On 1919, the Bureau of Posts put up its own wireless station. On 1935, there were 13,585 lines and about 500 telegraph officers in various provinces. In 1941, there was already an extensive nationwide telegram network with 459 telegraph officers interconnected 14,607 kilometers of overland telegraph lines and 326 nautical miles of submarine cable. After the war, the Bureau of the Telecommunication was created. In 1947, Clavicular Radio System or CRS, the first privately owned domestic telegraph company to operate in the country. In 1962, Philippine Telegraph and Telephone Corporation or PT&T was founded. Telegram and the telephone service became the two common means and communication until 1980s. In the early 1990s, mobile phone industry flourished in the Philippines. Feltel, established by the PLDT, was the first provider of mobile service in the country. It's operated under the Mobiline brand using analog technology. In the following years, Islacom, Globe, and Smart entered the mobile communication service. On 2013, the government decided to close the telegram service in the Philippines. On September 20, 2013, the last telegram in the Philippines was sent. Let's talk about the history of email and social networking sites. In 1971, the first recorded email was sent by Ray Tomlinson. Today, People all over the world use email to communicate, send, and receive important documents. Social networking sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram were primarily invented to upload a profile and to make friends. Their sites enable a person to communicate personally with each other through personal or chat messages. Through email and social networking sites, communication became more reliable, fast, and efficient. That will be all. Thank you and God bless.